Sans serif is a horrible font.
You just have all these
New York Times,
Do you like just memorize them for fun?
I download these.
Oh, okay.
They're not on the machine.
Oh.
All the ones on the machine I don't have memorized. I chose these
Oh.
because I'm a font nerd. I'm okay with it, right? Huh? I do not. I have a Transformers font, and I have a Star Wars font. What? I don't care. All right. Here we go. In order to graph a linear function, right? We have figured out 3 ways, yes? The first way you were taught to graph a linear function in the 9th grade was how? How did we graph a line in the 9th grade? Coordinates, and we put those coordinates onto a table of values. That was grade 9. You might have called them T-charts. And you would get a T-chart, and it would have 3, 7, 5, 13, and 7, 19. And you would put that on a graph, yes? Yeah. Ease, bees, lemon squeeze. You learned that in the grade 9. Yeah. Right? Then this year, you learned you can also graph it by using x-intercepts and y-intercepts, which of course are 0, x, 0, and 0y. And then you learned a third method, which was y equals mx plus b, which gave us our y-intercept, which was our starting point, and our slope, which was our rise divided by the run. And you know all 3 of those now, yes? Yes. Now, you guys are smart kids. Yes. Slope, intercept. Okay. X-intercept, Y-intercept. So the 2 ways we learned how to do this with algebra require us to have an intercept, don't they? Do we always have an intercept? No. Fortunately, though, there's a 4th way to do this, which is point-slope form, which means we can graph it that looks like pot. You didn't miss much. The computer froze. Now it's not responding. Now it's spinning wheel of death. Now it's responding but didn't do what I told it to do. There we go. Point slope form means I can graph from any point, not just the y or x intercept. Okay? Now, point slope form, it's not moving anywhere past there. Point slope form's a little weird, okay? I'm going to write it out, and you're going to see what I mean by it being a little weird. Y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. Now, looking at that, you should see there's some stuff there that we've seen, isn't there? Yeah. What have we seen in that form that we already know how to use? Yes, there's distribution. What else? Pardon me? There's an m. So slope's involved, yes? What else? x1 and y1, which are just points on the graph, aren't they? Everybody with me? Okay. So what you need to know about this, you already know what m is. M is still slope. which means it's everything slope is. It's still rise over run, and it's still y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Slope is all those things. Now here's where it gets crazy. y1 and x1 are the points from the graph. Okay? These are the points that we know. Everybody cool? So if I tell you that my line, and we're going to use the question that we just did 2 seconds ago where we had a point. The point was -5, -2, correct? On that assignment we just did, right? That was our point, and our slope was -2/3, wasn't it? From the assignment we just did, right? There's the assignment. There's the point. There's the slope. Everybody remembers this from 2 seconds ago, right? Yes. Okay. So now I have a point and I have a slope. Where does that go in this formula? Starts with a y. Oops, I want to write this in red. Starts with a y, and then I put the y that I know. What is the y that I know? -2. So it's y minus -2, right? Equals m, what's my m? -2/3, bracket, x minus, what's the x that I know? -5. Now, would we ever write this? Would we ever write this? What would we write instead? Plus. So this becomes y plus 2, -2/3, x plus 5. Yes? Is everybody cool? Does everybody follow the logic to get to here? Everyone? Okay. Now I want you to look at something. What do you see there? A y. What do you see there? An x, correct? Okay. The reason this works, thank you. The reason this formula works is because when I take this point that I know, that's an x value, isn't it? And that's a y value, isn't it? Is that a y? So what could I put there? -2. What's -2 plus 2? 0. Is that an x? What's that? So what's -5 plus 5? Equals -2/3 times 0. Does 0 equal 0? Does everybody see that? Okay. So that is why this form works. Now, a great many of you will not understand that. But you will understand the shortcut I'm about to give you. Look closely. What do you notice about that and that? They are both positive, but the point on the graph was negative. So if all you remember is this, the points in the equation are the same as the points on the graph, but you got to switch the sign. Then you're good to go. Okay? It's summer. We don't care as much about why as we care about how anymore. Okay? So that's the trick. Whatever you see on the graph or in the equation, on the graph, it's the opposite sign. Everybody cool? So here I have an equation, correct? That equation represents the graph. What is the point I have on the graph? Is it -1 and +2? No, what is it? Yes, it's positive 1, negative 2, because x's go first. And what is my slope? Negative 2/3. So that means instead of starting at the y-intercept and counting my slope, where do I start? Do I have a point on the graph? Is that point on the graph the same as a y-intercept on the graph? Isn't a y-intercept just a point on the graph? So if I have the y-intercept and a slope, I put the dot and I count, correct? So what do I do here? Where do I put the dot? I got 25 more minutes. Where do I put my dot to start graphing this? Which point? At 1, negative 2. And then where do I go? Up to which over? If I go up, I got to go left. If I go down, I got to go right. See? Everybody knew the answer. So what's this next one going to be? What's my starting point? Negative 3 and positive 4. And what's my slope? Negative 1, 4. Which means from that starting point, I go where? I can go down 1 and that way 4. Or I can go up 1 and that way 4. From which point? That point. Is everybody cool? Okay, let's do the next one. Uh-oh, it looks slightly different. Do I have a starting point? What is it? Negative 2, negative 1, because x's go first. And what's my slope? What? Right, there's no number in front of x. What's the number that we don't write? 1. So what's the slope? 1. Simran, if 0 was in front of x, then the slope would be 0. It would be flat, wouldn't it? And that's significantly different than having a slope of 1, yeah? Because the x, the slope multiplies the x, doesn't it? Right? If 0 multiplies the x, that changes the value of x, doesn't it? But 1 doesn't change the value. Got it? Okay, what about the next one? What's the starting point? Negative 4. Zero. Nice, Amrit. And what's the slope? Positive 1/2. So I was given the x-intercept there. Uh-oh, what about 5? What's my starting point? Negative 5. Negative 3, and my slope is? Negative 1. And what's the last one? 1, 10, 4/5. Can everybody read the equation? Okay. Now, every other thing you've done applies to this equation too. It's another thing you can use. So we turn the page over, and we are given this. Let's graph it. What's my starting point? So my point is what? Negative 1 and positive 2. So I go over to my graph, negative 1, positive 2. Then what? Up to right 3, because they're both positive. Now, Mr. Myers always says we should do at least 3 points to make sure, right? So go back to here and then go where? Down 2 and left 3. And that makes a nice line. Is everybody good? Easy peasy, right? Don't have to do any algebra at all. We can get it from the points. Okay, what about 8? I start at -5, -1. Where's that?
Down 1.
5 left, down 1, correct? Now how do I do my slope? What's my slope? -2, which is really -2 over 1. How do I draw that? Down 2 and right 1, or up 2 and left 1. Could I go up 4 and left 2? Yeah. Could I go up 6 and left 3? Could I go up 12 and left 6? Yes. And make my line. Can everybody do the basic? It's easy, right? It tells you what to do. Right? Okay. Let's look at the next question, because please notice the next question uses everything. Every sentence tells us something. What does that first sentence tell us about the lines? They're perpendicular, which tells us something. What does that tell us? I'm going to have my m's are going to be negative reciprocals, right? And they cross at the y-axis. That means those two lines are going to hit each other on the y-axis, right? Doesn't that tell us something about their y-intercepts? What does it tell us about their y-intercepts? They're the same. So line 1 is going to have a b that is going to equal the b for line 2, correct? So I know that b is going to be the same and the m's are going to be flipped. Do I know either one of their b's or m's? Does that give me the b and the m of one of them? Like that? That form gives me the b and the m? What do I have to do to that form, Fawaz? Slope-intercept form, which gets me what? What do I have to do to get that in slope-intercept form? What's the only thing that has to happen? Y's got to be isolated. So if this y moves over here, is he isolated? So line 1 is y equals 2x plus 8, doesn't it? But I need line 2. What do I know about line 2? Negative reciprocal and the same b, correct? Okay, so what is line 2? What's the negative reciprocal? Y equals -2 over 1, which we would never write that way. How would we write it? -2 x plus -8. It's got to be the same. -2 though? Right. All you sat there and told me -2. There it is done. Sydney. Yep. Why would it do that? Once I move that y over here, doesn't he become positive? And isn't y alone? Nothing moved. Everybody okay? Now that was using slope-intercept form, which you already know. Oh yeah, we got to graph it. So the first one was at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it had a slope of 2. So down 8, out 1, 2, 3, 4. There's line 1. And the other one went down 1 and out 2. Down 1, out 2. The other one went that way. Is everybody good?
Yeah.
Same way I graphed all of them. I went to the starting point.
For the x-axis, you went -4.
Yes, because that's down 8 and out 4. 8 over 4 is 2. Okay? Is everybody good?
Why would it be 8 over 4 though?
Because, David, I go down 2, out 1, 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 down 2, out 1. For how far? Infinity. So can I go down 500,000 and left 250,000? Because 500,000 divided by 250,000 is still 2. Can I go up 3 billion and write 1.5 billion? Can I go up 0.5 and write 0.25? All right. Everybody's good? Okay. Now listen to me. I can only hope that the last situation made you see, once again, that practice is useful. Okay, your quiz tomorrow has parallel, perpendicular, and point slope form. Remember, point slope form, I'll write it on the board, gives you an x and a y to start and a slope. Okay? Please, please, please make sure, since most of you aren't going to bother doing your practice, all your practice work, please make sure you you should be good at all of it, really. But if you really understand point slope form, then you should be able to do 16, 17, and 18 on 201. As always, there is the amount of homework that you wish you need to do to get the grade that you wish you want to achieve. As always.